Hello, Primals. Welcome back to the Thaddeus Mitchell podcast and YouTube channel. As a reminder, there will be an update in the name for the podcast here within the next week or so. But for now, we're going to stick with the Thaddeus Mitchell podcast. I just want to welcome all of you beautiful people here today. I want to talk about how women are being weaponized and women's emotions, or at least the susceptibility to their emotions, are being weaponized to distract people from fulfillment and self-realization. It has come to my attention that the expression of desire among people has been, for the most part, collectively, utterly lost. And the reason being, I do think, is that we're so used to being behind a screen that face-to-face interaction is almost overwhelming to some people. Because when you enter the realm of the physical with another person, there's a different kind of energy and a different kind of beauty that consists in the interaction. And I'm not saying that what technology has been able to provide for us is negative by any means. I think that there's so many fantastic possibilities and things to discover that we have yet to touch the surface on when it comes to technology as a whole. However, I think that physical face-to-face interaction is going to lead us to discoveries that may or may not have been made aware of in previous generations due to the complexity of just the nature of the complexity of the modern world in general. And it has also become clear to me that desire is something that is not exactly a feeling. And desire is something that is not exactly, because it's a verb. Well, it is a noun and a verb. And there is a sage named Osho that says, verbs grow, but nouns do not. And I think that's a very wise way of looking at language, because when the verb grows, when you use verbs, there's always an opportunity for convergent and divergent thinking, which are essentially ways of thinking where there are multiple avenues coming in and multiple avenues going out, which is the foundation for creativity as a whole. And when we're using divergent and convergent thinking, we're also understanding that, maybe not consciously, but because not a lot of people use those terms that I'm aware of, but when people are aware of the possibilities that are transgressing in a conversation, that's why social interactions are so fluid. There's so much fluidity to social interactions, and there's a kind of inherent quality of, what would you say? There's an inherent quality of truth in the interaction itself as an interaction, because, like the Buddhists say, you exist when there's a person and a person in a relationship. whether this is a friendship or like an intimate relationship or family or whatever it is. Whenever there's one person and one person in a relationship, you exist in the relationship. So the relationship itself is one unit, and the connection itself is one connection. But the people that are involved are their own separate beings, but together, when they converse, that is when they are one. That is when they become one. And so what I think that how I think women are being weaponized is that women are oftentimes very social creatures, and they're very emotional as well. Women have a tendency to go after their own emotions, and more so than anybody else's. I'm not saying that they don't have empathy, because women are, just on the scale of standard deviation, are generally more empathetic than men. However, because they chase after their own emotions, there's a alteration in the emotion itself. And so when you can actually influence somebody to the point to where you can actually shape how they chase after their own emotion in a very sophisticated way, psychologically speaking, you can, I don't think manipulate is the right word, but you can greatly influence them to believe certain things or to do certain things. So, with that being said, there's a kind of spirit of confusion and competition being implemented into the consciousness, the main consciousness of women nowadays, like the collective consciousness of women and men too, but I think women's greatly so, because women are being told to not really value how they act on their desire. And men are being told to cater to a woman's desire. Well, what is that? Well, those two combinations, what kind of meal are we going to get from that? Essentially, like, speaking metaphorically, what kind of meal are we going to get from that? We're going to get a kind of meal that does not satisfy anyone. And the reason being is because desire is an expression, when it's purified desire is an expression of wanting and needing to one degree or another. And like the Buddha said, that desire, to end desire is to end suffering. But what I don't think Westerners understand is that, especially in like Christian teaching, I don't think Westerners understand like the concept of desire and love together with suffering. Because whenever there's a choice, like, a lot of people think that we're a slave to desire. I don't think that's the case at all. I think you're only a slave to desire if you are not awake. If you are awake and if you are completely aware of what you are finding to be rich and beautiful in your life, then you are going to naturally choose directions in life that manifest a significant reflection of your desires or your love. And those decisions that you make through time are the conception, or is the conception as a whole. And so when women are being told to become a slave to their desire and not to have self-control or discipline over their desire or an innocence or even humility to that degree, there's going to be something missing from the relationship between men and women. And when men are being told to cater to the desire of women, it's like we're being sold tofu and told that it's steak. It's not the same. And I don't care whether you're a vegetarian or not. The point is that what we're being sold is not what's being bought. And I want to encourage women to not be as promiscuous in nature that society and culture is pushing them to be. Men, I would like to encourage men to, as difficult as it may be, to raise their standards and remember that we have to, as men, create an opportunity for a lasting love for humanity's sake. Because I do think that we are at a pivotal point in these modern times where something's going to have to give. And I do hope that we reconnect with our primal nature and that we rediscover and reconnect with our instincts and remember that it is okay to desire. What is not okay is to react and not to respond. And with that being said, I love you all, and I hope this message was informative in some fashion. Till next time, we'll see ya.